Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a release party? What are we doing here, Sam? We've got new bits shipping.
I'm just
it's a new year. You're just here.
Yeah, I'm your annoying sidekick for the day. I'm in my kitchen.
Your immaculately clean kitchen.
Yeah, so clean. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Welcome back to Code Live. I'm not your host today. I'm your sidekick. So Mr. Charbeneau is here.
We're celebrating the first release of the year. We've got lots of new components and tools and things coming. I know you did a show yesterday, right, Sam? Talking about desktop.
Right. So we have for Telerik and Kende UI and Fiddler and productivity reporting testing, we do major releases in a year. And the first release is called R1. So R1 2022 went out last week. So the bits are out. Anything we can do to make developers a little bit more successful. Yesterday, we kind of tried breaking down what's new in all things .NET desktop and mobile. So we had a couple of engineers, and we are kind of all in with our love for all things native on Windows or Mac or iOS or Android. But you keep telling me the web is the thing to go. So today I'm here to learn about all things web.
Yep. So we're going to talk about ASP.NET, .NET Core, Blazor, all those good things, even some web forms. We've been doing more like service pack type releases as well. So if you're visiting the demo site frequently, you'll notice that there's a lot of components that are just kind of shipping throughout the year. But we also have our quarterly releases that have a big bundle of items in them as well. So I guess let's just do a quick screen share here, Sam. We've got, there we go. Let's try that. What's new with R1 2022 for ASP.NET Core? I usually cover ASP.NET Core and just ASP.NET MVC at the same time because a lot of this is overlap. They're generally the same components. The only difference is you get tag helpers with ASP.NET Core because that's a feature that ships on Core that we don't have with the last version of MVC there.
Yeah.
But
hey, Ed,
lots of good stuff here. Yeah.
Before you start, do you want to talk about like how you got here? Like, just go to like blogs.telerik.com and maybe just
Oh,
the
absolutely.
first post, which is talking about all the release stuff.
Let's see. Let me reshare this real quick because.
Oh,
And we're gonna get
Windows troubles.
No, I shared a. Well, it's actually because of the Mac, to be honest. If we want to go there, I had my second monitor hooked to my Mac. When I brought it back to my PC, it was like,
So yeah,
I'm not going to work with that tainted device.
circle
It
around and
won't
get back
come
to
on.
Mac. In the meantime, our friends are here. Hey, Raptame. Hello, hello. Good to see you. And Eva. Good to see you folks from across the little pond. It's cold everywhere. It was snowing in Sofia yesterday, was what I heard. And I mean, back in our neck of the woods, I don't know about Kentucky, Ed. I'm in Northwest Pennsylvania. It's been snowing a lot, and cold. So we're just glad to be inside after shoveling and doing all.
We've had a lot of rain.
Oh, really?
A lot of rain, not a lot of snow.
No, but it's still cold up here.
I think one of our common friends, Nora, is up in the mountains up there in Bulgaria. Saw her sharing some photos on Instagram. It looks amazing up there. So if you go to telerik.com, I'm assuming my screen is sharing properly now.
Yes.
I cannot see the live feed. But if you look at the top of the page at telerik.com, there is a direct link that says the R1 2022 release is live, where you can jump straight to the blog post, or you can also sign up for our webinars, which will be more of us, more of the same, but more detailed probably next week.
Well, I mean, it's more formal. I lose my hat. Mm-hmm. It's the one time I have to put on gel on my head.
That's right. And I may wear an official logo shirt as well with that instead of my Microsoft hoodie, which is very comfortable, but not very Telerik brand. But we do work close with Microsoft. So, yeah. I mean, it's not that far off, right? So anyway, click on R1 2022 releases live, and you'll get a landing page for all of our release info. And there's Nora. I was just talking about her being in the mountains. She must have wrote this post before she went on her vacation.
Yeah, she's done she has been coordinating all things about the release and all the posts and all the updates with all the teams. She's done. She's off
amazing.
into the mountains.
So lots of release highlights. We won't go into the details here. We'll save that for our webinar, but we can do a quick overview.
I do like bookmarking this page because it has the kitchen sink of all the things across each product, and whichever ones that you're interested in. Like there's a link for Blazor right now where you have it. Just scroll down, and that has the link to the Blazor updates or ASP.NET updates.
This is like the TLDR version here, and then you have the link below to each of the product pages, the release post and the product page itself. And as you can see, as I scroll, there are a lot of products here, Sam. There are a lot of products. And we have multiple people on our team that cover all of these things, Sam and I included, but you will see Alyssa and Catherine on this week as well, talking about all the Kendo UI bits. But we've got Sam and I, we've got the Telerik.net stuff to talk about. So we'll be talking about some Telerik UI for Blazor here in just a few minutes. And of course, our chat is full of folks that worked on these things as well. So I know the engineering team said they were going to be on today. And I think Maria's program manager is in chat as well. So you'll see those folks in there too. If you have questions, feel free to drop in chat and ask questions to them. So I was getting into the ASP.NET Core and MVC stuff that we just dropped. We've got some nice bits in there this release. I need to find. You've got me on the wrong page now, Sam. I need to get back to my blog posts here. We've got, of course, we're always on top of things with the latest and greatest versions of Visual Studio and .NET. So of course, .NET 6 compatibility. We've been releasing .NET 6 compatibility since the previews. Now we're supporting the full release of .NET 6, Visual 2022, Visual Studio 2022 compatibility. We also have plugins for Visual Studio Code as well, but I don't think there was anything brand new to mention there, so it's not in the title of this post, but we do have an extension for that as well. And we released later last year the Telerik REPL for ASP.NET Core. So we'll play around with that a little bit too, Sam. This is a really cool tool for running your ASP.NET Core snippets in the browser without having to load up a full IDE or environment to do that. You just jump right into the web here and start writing your code, and you've got samples ready to go. So you'll see us use that today too.
Yeah, I'll have some kind of dumb questions for you while you use that.
Awesome.
I'm going to utilize this chance to kind of ask all my web questions, all my burning questions.
Excellent, because I'm pretty sure whatever you ask me, there are people in chat that want to ask the same thing, so it always turns out really well. We've got a new avatar component. So this isn't just, a nice way of showing that kind of like personality logo in the upper corner of your application. A lot of modern apps do this. Like you think of like Outlook, something like that, or a Facebook or social media page. You've got like your little login section with your photo. That's kind of what this is for. You could use this for more than that as well. If you have like a list of users or something, you want to display their photos. Maybe you're running a little conference, or you want to show coworkers, that sort of thing. This gives you a nice little way to do that and do really easy rounded edge corners, or encase that thing in a circle, all of that type of stuff. And I think these different themes that you can attach here, these rounded edges and in the circular format and thing, and those things, they all play into these theme improvements that you'll see across the board in all of the web products. And that includes the Kendo and Telerik stuff as a whole. Have you heard about this, Sam? This is really cool.
It is, and I do have some questions when you get into it.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, we've got a lot of theme improvements that came, and we're really working hard on making the experience for designers and just the theming in general much better. We've got Figma kits for your designers to use, and then we've got these new theme features that make it easier to adapt the components to your own design styles or your company's design styles. So they've added new properties here, like shape, size, rounded, etc. And we'll jump into. Let's go into some demos. It's much easier to see than it is in a couple screenshots here of how these different properties change the components and how they look. So if we pop the demos page, this demos tab open here, and then we'll just jump over to our ASP.NET Core demos. And you'll be able to see some of these things live here in the browser. If we go to, I think our button, I believe, has some of these. If you look under the appearance examples here in the demos section, you'll see these new properties coming up. And we've got a button down here. And these are some of the new properties we can choose to apply to that button. So we've got square, rectangle. We can change the size, the base theme color, the fill mode, and so on. So if we change it to square, we kind of get a perfectly square button. We can also change the border radius here. If we go full, we get a nice circular button. And then the like medium and large, this is changing. It's kind of hard to see here unless I zoom in, but we're we're getting fine control here over the border radius on the edge of these buttons. And this goes for all of the input components and things as well. We can change these border radius. So if we want a nice, oval shape to all of our things, or a rounded shape, to all of our UI components, we have that. Or you can go with something that's a little more pointy edged, depending on what your theme is like, your design language is like, where you operate. So we also have like these flat buttons, flat fill modes. You could go with just an outline. I like to toggle these outline modes for certain things. Like maybe you have a cancel button. You want to kind of have that stand out as kind of an empty fill. You can do an outline. So you can have, your submit button is maybe going to be this solid, let's say primary like this. And then the thing that you want as a cancel button, you drop that flat, outline button on that. So you can really customize these things nice and quick and easy with these new properties. And I think that's a nice convenience to have.
Yeah, makes sense.
You'll notice that a lot of those little outlined updates are all over the demo pages. You'll see this on ASP.NET Blazor as well. If we look at, I'm trying to remember where, I think it's under editors. There we go. See all these little updated icons? This is what I was talking about. Like all of the UI inputs and everything got this new appearance feature. So you can change, the size of the input box and the fill mode that it uses, and the border radius on those things. So it's really, really nice to have feature. I like that.
So on this front, like this being ASP.NET MVC, like these components or controls will essentially be rendered on the server side, right? So is this done with CSS or like .NET properties?
This is all CSS for all the products. So Kendo UI and ASP.NET Core, MVC, and Blazor, all a CSS feature that we've got this implemented with. So it's just convenient style sheets that have been added to make things nice and semantic. So you can customize these things, or your designers can go in and customize those properties even further. And then it helps you build that overall that brand style that you're looking for. And again, I mentioned the Figma kits. So if you have a designer on your team, they can jump into the Figma kits and help further customize all of these things. Then get right down in the details of it with those things and generate more CSS for you.
Yeah, I will say I'm a little jealous because the Figma stuff is meant for the web. Eventually, we might have it for desktop or native apps as well, but it's all web now, and it's nice. It's a nice place to start.
Yeah, we had like, how many themes did you count for desktop? There's like a million different themes.
Well, for things like WPF or WinForms, we are up to about 32 themes, and those are just like the starting points, and then you can customize them to your heart's content. But those are just like the palettes that we ship with.
Nice. Yeah, we have quite a few. We have 3 main base themes here for the web. But those are very, very flexible. So you can literally make whatever you like with those base themes. And if you're new to the Telerik products, we've got the theme builder. You go to themebuilder.telerik.com. I mean, you can jump right into this thing and customize all of those themes that we were just talking about. We've got the Bootstrap and Material theme in the default theme. If you're new, I'd stay away from the classic. This is for earlier versions of the product. The default theme is the newer version of the classic. So you want to go with one of these 3 default themes here. The material theme I know is super popular, but if you jump into create on here, you get a live view of all of those components, and then you can come in and select your theme here. There's also like this huge palette that you can bring up in the upper left hand corner here, and you can customize starting from like a dark theme, and the components will just re-render here on the page, and then you can go in and tweak things as you need to. Whether you change like the primary color, I kind of like the blues more than the greens myself. Yeah, this will give you a starting point, and then you have those additional properties that I showed you of like flat and outline and all of that you can apply to these as well now, so you can further kind of detail this out. So it's cool stuff. I love it. I love the flexibility of all of our stuff.
Yeah, our good friend Full Schnabel is in the chat room. Hey, Full. Yeah, Bootstrap.
Hey, nice.
Bootstrap is good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with Bootstrap. It gets the job done. I saw a really excellent blog post the other day while we're on the topic of web stuff. Actually, it wasn't a blog post. It was a Twitter thread by an Amazon employee. And they were saying for performance reasons, they use server-side rendering.
I saw that.
And jQuery. So,
fine-tuning the load-up time of Amazon.com by, even a couple of milliseconds makes a world of difference.
Makes a big dollar difference apparently too.
Yeah.
So if you're still interested in jQuery stuff, wink wink, Amazon folks, we've got Amazon UI we've got jQuery UI components as well, and they've been around a while. They have all the bells and whistles.
All right, so chat room is talking about maybe some of the changes that have been going on in the front end world in the last a couple of years. Is it Bootstrap having a rough time? Are people shifting more towards like Material or Fluent types things? Mixed bag.
Yeah, I mean, people kind of gravitate to things that they like that are new and shiny. I know. I'm trying to remember the name of the framework now. Just slipped my mind. There's a new version of Bootstrap which we support, and then there's
is it like Tailwind?
Tailwind, yes.
Yeah,
I could think of the logo. I couldn't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
There's also Tailwind. It's kind of more of the same stuff, but pick your poison. I think we cover a lot of the Bootstrap stuff because you're really not going to use a lot of the theme elements that come with that. You're more using the layout properties of those frameworks when you're using our stuff, because we cover pretty much everything.
Our UI doesn't care what you use.
Yeah. But there's a little bit of overlap in those things. It's like if you have the Telerik components, then you have a much more advanced version of the things that come with those. But we do interop with those things very well.
Yeah. Chat room is saying Tailwind advocates allowed. What happened to Nepal 684? What happened to or do these things have anything to do with like whether you're using Sass or less or CSS, or this is kind of one step up, right? This is like a design system.
Yeah, so we can totally use Sass with all of these components. So if I go back to ThemeBuilder, when you're on ThemeBuilder, you can actually see this in ThemeBuilder itself. So if we start theming here, Bootstrap's a really great example of this because it integrates with the theme system for Bootstrap as well. But when you go over here and hit download, and you download this custom theme that you've created, you will get both the CSS and Sass files for that theme. So if you look here, we've got the CSS and the Sass. The JSON's new. I haven't seen that before. I'm not sure what exactly we're offering in there. And I'm in a zip file here. Let me get these out. We'll take a look at what's inside. Let's go to a little Visual Studio Code here. Sure, I trust these guys. If you look, the Sass file is very simple. It is just the variables. And then we also have a reference to the entire theme where it would be installed in your NPM folder. So these theme colors just override all of the theme colors that are in the base theme. And you're good to go with that. And then I'm curious what's in the JSON here. This might be hooks for, I have to ask the team here. If the team's in chat, it looks like we have a JSON set of theme properties as well. Not sure what that's used for. That's a new thing. Maybe it's something to do with the Figma kits. And then, of course, you have the full CSS file, too. So it looks like we've added some extensibility here. I don't know if this is something for ThemeBuilder itself or if this is part of one of the framework integrations we have. But the Sass, to answer the question that we were asked, Sass variables are right there. So that's I use those all the time. That's my primary way of theming these components.
So Blazor Mr. Magoo was saying could be the config to load it up in your editor.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do we have our engineering folks with us?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a bit of a time shift. I know they were going to try to make it, but I'll have to ask and find out.
Yeah, Ed, when you're back in VS Code, ChatRoom is asking for you to bump your fonts up a little bit.
Oh, was that coming in blurry?
No, it's fine, but just a little bigger would be nice. I'm getting old. There we go.
There we go. I think I still get some kind of issue with StreamYard where my camera comes in perfect, but my screens don't. I'm not doing it on purpose, I swear. It's not.
All right. Let's move forward.
Self-motivated. Yeah. Seems like I don't want to talk about your camera and how perfect it is. It's teasing. Yeah, we've got a new and improved PivotGrid. This is something that I had to build at my previous job years ago. This was what? This was pre Telerik days, I think. So this was either a beta of ASP.NET or I didn't do ASP Classic, so it had to be like those early .NET days. I had to build one of these in web forms. It's not a pretty thing to have to build. No. Yeah. So I was building an interactive pivot, and it took a long time. So we've got one out of the box for ASP.NET Core MVC, and good for financial data and all of that type of thing. When you got to pivot your data right out of your database, there's our PivotGrid. And of course, you can always just click on these things and try these out right here in the browser. Not only can you kind of get a sense of the component and how to use it, but you can also go right into the Blazor REPL, and you can try out these in our Blazor REPL as well. So if you want to hack away at some of the code that generates that PivotGrid, you just bring it right into the editor here, hit run. And then you can come in and change some of the properties here and see how it affects that PivotGrid. And to help you get an idea of what you can do with it, and help you share snippets with the community, get help with support and that type of stuff.
Can I, since you had opened REPL, can I ask you a basic question? How are references handled? Like right here, and you can bump up the fonts a little bit because it's too small. You got not just JavaScript or CSS references. You got some .NET stuff here, right? Or no? How are those things handled at runtime?
You can reference things in the ASP.NET Core REPL that are part of the .NET framework, and of course our components as well. So you'll see some using statements here for it says Kendo MVC. That is the Telerik components. They're wrappers on top of Kendo. So you do see the Kendo namespace in the MVC components. Now, I know this is probably still on the roadmap, but if you're in the Blazor REPL, you can actually add external NuGet packages. That hasn't come to the core version yet.
So it kind of pulls it in at runtime in memory.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, good to know. And looks like some of our engineering folks are in the chat room. Chris, hey, good to see you, Chris Mariano.
Hey, Chris is here.
JSON is the config to import it back in your app when you download the theme builder bits. Yeah.
So you can get the theme back into ThemeBuilder, or I'm confused still. Yeah, I need to clear that one up. I'm still not quite sure where you use it, unless there's like Tailwind or something is pulling that in, or what's the build tool that uses? I'm trying to remember the name of that one. See, because in the web world, Sam, we have this wonderful thing called Sass, and then if you don't like a framework, you just build another one, and then let's see, Tailwind. I remember what the compiler is it uses. It is shoot. There is a JavaScript based tool that it uses to compile its themes. So maybe
Gulp or Grunt type things from the past.
No, it's not Gulp
Grump
or Grunt. It is yet another tool for compiling CSS. So, the web. We don't like the way it works, we just invent something new.
All right. So Chris is chiming in. You can start to configure the theme, then export it, and using the JSON, you can continue. So you can continue editing the theme afterwards if you import back the JSON file. So essentially, you go to ThemeBuilder, you customize things, then you download it. But then, let's say you stopped and you wanted to customize things more. You can import that JSON back up, and then it's going to read everything that you did up until then. So you can continue.
That was it. I think we handled this differently before.
Yeah, upload JSON file.
So now it's a JSON file. I think you used to put the Sass file back in or something like that. But it was like an annotated version of the Sass file, like the set of custom properties or something, if I remember correctly. So cool.
Good to know, Chris. Thank you.
So extra sorting capabilities for the grid. We've got autoFit, the column width. This is something that customers were asking for to help fit the columns, space those out nice and evenly in the DataGrid. A lot of the stuff is based on user feedback, right? We do this with all the products, Sam. The grid drag and drop is another example of things that customers were asking for. So now you can drag and drop rows from one grid into another grid, which gives you some pretty cool UX ideas here. So you can, create different lists, if you want to. I built a lot of these actually back in the day. I know I keep saying that, but this is a problem that I had to solve more than once. So we'd have, for example, like machines that were on a floor, shop floor that belonged to like a certain configuration group, and we'd have to like pull, different widgets into that group. We had to do stuff like that. We built like reporting configurations and things. So we want to, take certain line items and place them in the report. We would do stuff like that. You can do that with the DataGrid now. Undo and redo for editor. There's just so many features to these Telerik UI for ASP.NET Core and MVC components. And remember I was talking about Visual Studio integration earlier. Our
VS
Visual
Code.
Studio Code
Yep.
project wizard.
I saw the updates.
Yeah. There's a new admin dashboard project template, which is really cool. So if you're looking for a very quick way to do like a back office type of application, you just file new project inside of Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. You just come over here and say, "Oops!" And you
Matrix. We don't want to see that. Inception.
Close the wrong tab there. Just trying to zoom in.
While
just click on Admin Dashboard, and you've got a nice starting point.
Yeah. Our good friend Aztec Consulting is here in the chat room. Hello. And Bro Dell, people are wanting you to get into Blazor. It's coming. I'm sure Ed is at the edge of his seat wanting to get into Blazor.
We should talk about Blazor. Blazor's awesome. I've been working with Blazor quite a bit lately.
No, I did see the VS Code update to the extension. That's nice. Nice to have a starting point.
Yeah, and you can get that through Visual Studio Code itself, or you can go to like the marketplace, and I think there's a
you can click on that
option to install it with one of the installers we have too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, if you go to the marketplace, remember there's one of these for ASP.NET Core and Blazor and Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. So potentially 4 of these you might want to grab. This is specifically for ASP.NET Core on Visual Studio Code. And this gives you the project template wizard and some other features that are coming here. Like the Telerik REPL stuff has been added to the tool as well. So if you're in Visual Studio Code, I think I have it installed here. I don't know if it'll recognize it in a Sass file, but you would right click, and if this was a C# file, it would come up with a button to open this in the Telerik REPL for ASP.NET Core, and you'd instantly get that in the browser and be able to edit the code live there. So you can share to Telerik REPL. So that's reason enough to go grab this template wizard. And we've got plans for this. This is gonna be a nice add-in that you're gonna want to have.
Yeah, and Aztec Consulting, Blazor and MAUI is really the best of both worlds. Ed and me don't need to fight anymore because we are bringing the web goodness to native. So yeah, I mean, once Ed talks about all the Blazor stuff and gives me a little bit of time, I would be happy to show. I mean, nothing has changed, but the fact that you can do stuff like this is just nice.
And of course, props to Maria for putting this blog post together. She's our program manager for the ASP.NET components in general. Fantastic. Fantastic job putting these things together and getting us on our roadmaps and whatnot. So let's talk about some Blazor. Have you heard of this thing, Sam? It's pretty cool. You don't have to write JavaScript anymore. Because yeah, JavaScript is a thing of the past if you're doing .NET.
I need to get you're starting the pitchforks are going to come out, and we're going to start up a war. No, I think it's an interesting time. If you look at the last 10 years in particular, like how many .NET shops have. I mean, ASP.NET has been around, but it's mostly server side. And a lot of folks have gone JavaScript for their SPA applications, and you have investments in Angular, React, and Vue, and all of that is great. But now you're kind of getting into kind of a mix and match mode where you can bring some of that back to .NET if you want, or you can keep doing JavaScript and then talk to .NET through an interop. And if you have a greenfield project, by all means, start up with Blazor. It's C# front and back.
What I think is awesome about Blazor is the fact that not only can you write C#, you can also use JavaScript, and you can use pretty much any other language you want out there because you can interop with WebAssembly native libraries. So you can write code in Rust or Go, compile it to WebAssembly, and interop through Blazor with that code. So I mean that.
No, I
it's
mean,
all just open-ended now.
while you and me are obviously .NET fans, like to Foolish Neville's point, like JavaScript isn't going away anywhere because like it's the thing that runs most of the web. So it's going to be in every device, and it's nice to be able to talk to JavaScript easily from .NET now.
Yeah, I mean, JavaScript's not going anywhere. I just don't want to have to touch it, and Blazor perfect for me. One of those things that you frequently need JavaScript for still is to build map components, but not anymore, because in this release we have a Telerik UI for Blazor map component. Pretty cool. So this one's worth jumping into and taking a look at a demo for, because there's more than just like show a map, right? There's other things that you can do with the map. You can do like these bubble layers. You know, these are handy. We've seen a lot of this in the recent times with like pandemic data and whatnot.
Oh,
I mean, it's unfortunate that that's what comes to mind, but that's, you know, that's one of the uses for this thing, is like showing data overlaid on top of a location. So you can do that type of thing with this bubble layer. You can use GeoJSON, so you can add markers to places. You can add custom objects in here. Very cool stuff. There's a title layer. I mean, this is a very... Oh, sorry, tile layer. So it's a very detailed mapping component that that you can use.
So Fool's asking which projection do you use? I'm guessing by that you mean, Fool, like what services are providing the data? Because I mean, you can hook it up to a few things, or maybe I'm misunderstanding the question.
Yeah, like in one of these, in the tile layer one, it's using OpenStreetData as a data provider.
Yeah, there's some standards. OpenStreet, GeoJSON, S3 is great for geospatial data as well. So we work with a few providers.
And it's nice and smooth. I mean, it might be hard to see on stream, but this is...
No, it's coming across. Yeah.
I mean, it's nice and smooth here.
Yeah, and if I may, talk about the native stuff, like for desktop apps, we've had mapping components forever. Good to see you folks just getting it. But one of the things is like the zooming features of your map are important for users to be able to kind of dive in, and so we have really fine-tuned that this release, so we can let you zoom down to like a fraction of whatever the zoom level is, so you can really have a smooth experience with your mouse scroll.
Yeah, and I just opened this up in the Telerik REPL for Blazor, and you can see in here just how easy it is to define, Telerik map, and then if you want to set some pins, you pass it the lat long, and then what the address is, and overlay that information right on top of the map using this marker model. So you've got your map layer, and you're dropping in your pins on it, and then you've got your pins sitting on top of the map here. So here's all those locations where they're defined right here. So you can get in there and just kind of tweak this this example and then share it back out really easy with Telerik REPL for Blazor. It's this is a really handy tool to have. I know the JavaScript ecosystem has had a tool like this for a while, where you can kind of create snippets in the browser, whether it's like CodePen or JS Fiddle. So now we've got one for Blazor, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's so handy to be able to just kind of share your code and collaborate with somebody else.
So we've got that new mapping component. This is one that is kind of interesting, Sam. We have a Blazor FileSelect UI component, and this is similar to an upload component, but there's two different aspects to file selecting and uploading when you're talking about the client. So you may want to open a file or select a file, but not upload it necessarily. You may want to work with it locally. So you can do that to some extent with the file select. And then there's, of course, like just straight uploading of files. So we have the file select component. We also have a file upload component. So file select is going to pull it up client side, and then you can choose to upload it from there. And then there's different events that you can trigger on that. And I think I might have to scroll down to find this. There were some upload components. There it is. Methods added as well. So the upload component specifically, you want to upload that file, you can use the upload component and just directly select and upload that file. So two different components, two different uses, even though they seem kind of similar, they do have their nuances.
So does the upload component use the file select dialog? Probably, right?
Probably the file upload came first. They probably abstracted that out from the file select component and made the file select component. I'm assuming, making assumptions there. I'm not on the dev team. There's the theme improvements again that I talked about earlier with ASP.NET Core. They're in Blazor as well and Kendo UI. So you can see some more of those in the search box here, where you can change the size of that component and the theme of it on the fly. Figma kits are there, just like they are for all the web stuff. This is another one of those things that we got a lot of feedback. I didn't even read this part. A popular feedback request. I knew that just by looking at it. The Excel export with the OnRead method. So you can export all of the pages for some data by using the OnRead method of the DataGrid and the tree list. Exporting to Excel is like one of the more popular things that people like to do with the grid. Got to get the data in and out of that grid, right?
Everybody, all enterprise workflows need that.
Mm-hmm. So we've expanded the way that works. The editor has new features, so you can embed audio, video, and iframes. That's definitely welcome. Talked about the upload. DPL, document processing libraries. I know you covered this a bit yesterday, Sam. But document processing is one of the things that I think is very, very highly underrated. I don't think a lot of people know that this is accessible to them if you have a Telerik license.
Yeah, it's one .NET standard library that works across web, desktop, mobile, you name it.
Yeah,
and I mean,
so if you need,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you need to get Office documents in and out of your application, do conversions, open spreadsheets, that type of thing, this is what you're looking for.
Yeah. You get to create, edit, manipulate, save, delete, all types of management of, and it's not just like Word or Excel. We do PDFs as well. So the features that you see here also show up on WPF or WinUI or WinForms or Xamarin or MAUI. It's all the same. So we got some really cool stuff in there. So based on, like, if you're working with spreadsheets, based on the value that you have in a certain field, you can define conditional formatting. So things are much more visual to the user when they open up on their spreadsheet. With spreadsheets, we also allow notes that you could do on every cell, and we can save those notes off when you export and import. And mail merge is, the thing that, all marketing things use to, have some data binding in an email or whatever, where you're pulling from a data source. So now we can pull from, multiple or nested data sources.
Yeah, that's Sam's favorite feature right there. He likes to write those spam emails all the time.
I do. Hey, Speeder Girl. Good to see you.
It's Alyssa. A little heads up here, folks, too. There are some breaking changes. This is a major release. So do keep your eye on the breaking changes documentation. So there's some behavioral things with some of the properties and settings on the components. So, we've done a lot to make sure that we don't have breaking changes very often. But, to make this a better product, at some point you need to kind of tweak some things. So this watch out for that major release milestone there. It's not a lot of breaking changes, but it's always the one that gets you, that you notice, right?
Yeah. And while before you switch topics, since our good friend Alyssa is here, Alyssa hosts a wonderful show right here on Twitch and Coded Live called The JS Girl in a .NET World. And that show is coming up later this afternoon. And if you want to see myself making a complete mockery of myself, come and hang out with us this afternoon. Alyssa wanted to talk about, bringing Angular over to native apps. So we will tinker a little bit and see what's possible.
And we've got more Blazor stuff. Like the release didn't stop at the breaking changes there. There's literally more components that we added. So we've got a brand new dialogue component. The heat map that we saw in MVC last release is now in Blazor this release. So this is a really nice way of displaying your data. This is a nice data visualization. The QR component. This one's caught me by surprise because we shipped the barcode component last release, and then like a couple weeks later, the QR component dropped between releases.
You are unless this screenshot. Can you open the QR component in the demos? Because this is something our good friend Dan Siegel was asking about yesterday. So apparently, it's a trend where inside of the QR code, folks are embedding a logo to make it very customizable. And I see that for Blazor because we don't have it for desktop.
Don't have it?
No. How is it that you are just getting a QR code and you have a feature that we don't have?
Because the web is so flexible and amazing.
So you have an image URL, but yep. Is that the pointer to the actual thing that's encoded in the QR code, or is that an image for like the logo inside the QR code?
This is an image that is rendered inside the QR code.
Oh, so see, you have it. So all right. Well,
this is the beauty of CSS. I imagine there's just a there's the image there. I'm sure we're using some CSS to overlay that within our what do you call this thing? Vector. Graphic.
Vector, yeah. All right. Well, desktop, we'll get it soon because somebody was asking about this for desktop and mobile.
Yeah, if I can control click this, you can see there's the actual image right there.
Yeah. All right, good to know. And
you could always just use a web view and just pull in.
That seems to be the norm these days. Just do everything in a web view. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? Why tinker with all that messy desktop UI stuff when you can just shell up a MAUI app and pull in a Blazor web view and just do web stuff?
Yeah, it's
the future.
Oh, and as the future, talking about heat maps, those are hard to do. I'm really fond of some of these advanced ones.
Yeah, the heat map. We released this one. I remember talking about this in the MVC release last quarter, and I was like, "Oh, that'd be nice to have for Blazor." And then here we have it for Blazor now.
Yeah,
we have of course all of the themes supported for that as well. So if you go over and you want it, material dark theme, you've got that. Look at that. That looks nice. Like that right there.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about dark modes, which are very popular on mobile devices. I'm not the biggest fan, but I mean it makes less of a sense for web, because like you have so much of white space if you are using a browser where there's a lot of like you have a lot of like visual real estate that the user can turn from light to dark. But when it comes to individual controls, then it's up to our UI to kind of flip the switch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and Alyssa, web view is all the thing that's making a lot of the magic happen. Like it or not, it's the thing.
The color picker component. We've got our color picker, our color palette component. There's ways to customize this as well. So you can do something very simple like this, or you can do a complex palette with lots of squares. You can customize it, add presets, all that good stuff. So there's like a built-in color picker on the web, and it's very rudimentary. Like you can't really customize it much. So it's like, here's the color picker, pick your color. Ours, you can actually, fine tune this for your application and what you need it to do. You also get keyboard navigation and validation, all of that stuff. So it's a way more advanced color picker than what you get with the native web. And that's actually the color palette. Then we have the color picker as well. So this is the more traditional style color picker, but again, more advanced because you can embed a palette in there. You can toggle the different modes here as well, and do RGB and all that good stuff.
Janitsku in the chat room is asking, customize with shapes too. I don't think I follow the question. Can you explain what you mean by shapes?
I think I know what he's talking about, possibly. I don't think you can do it though. I've seen color pickers where they have like a radial or a honeycomb interface on them. Maybe that's what he means by shape.
Yeah, and Aztec is pointing out our good friend Catherine on the team. She's been amazing. She's doing a show, Dev by Design. I think it's on Mondays, right? So I need to tune in more. Honestly, just learn, because like I'm so bad with design and colors and aesthetics, and this kind of leads into accessibility as well, right? So it's good to know this stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we have the accessibility feature on the, I mean, the component itself may be accessible. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
There is an accessibility color picker as well. I don't see it on the list. If one of our engineers in chat knows what I'm talking about, let me know if it's there or not. But if we go to, let's go over to the Kendo UI stuff. I think React has it. This is something that would probably be in there in the future. This is really nice. I know I'm getting over into React for a second, but let's see if I can find this thing. There is a color picker that will show you if it's accessible or not. Styling. That's customizing. Shoot.
There's a whole accessibility on the right, on the next column if you want.
Yeah, maybe that's the tab. Nope, that's the
standard accessibility. Yeah.
Color.
Are you saying React has something Blazor doesn't? Because that's going to upset you.
I think it does. I'm trying to remember where I saw this before. I'm trying to look here because if we have it here, we may have it. I'm just not looking in the right place. There is a feature, though, where it will tell you if it is like the contrast is correct or not.
Oh, I see.
Color contrast tool. Yeah, I didn't see this over in Blazor yet, but you have to have the color picker before you can have the contrast tool. You know what I mean? So
this is interesting.
One could guess
gives you a
that
ratio.
Coming.
Ah.
So if you pick a color, then the contrasting color needs to fall in the zone here See, right now it is passing AAA standard. So if we go above it, they both fail. They have to be below that zone.
Nice. This is nice.
Yeah. So if you have, say, like a report designer or something in your UI that you're presenting to your end user, and you want them to be able to make sure that the custom colors they're picking for, say, an output on a report are going to have the right contrast, you can provide this tool to them.
We need this. We need this everywhere. Yeah. This is so nice, and this is like so common, right? A lot of people have like our kid has a hard time with like some color nuances, like between some yellows and oranges. So this is really helpful.
Yeah. So this was, let's see. This is under the color gradient, color contrast. I didn't see it in Blazor yet.
All right.
Can't get it all at once. You got to start somewhere, right, Sam?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's see, color gradient. Yeah, I don't see the option for it yet. But we've got the picker now. The accessibility thing should come soon. And then we've got a slew of enhancements through many of the components. We'll go into fine detail there. Date input enhancements as well. The TabStrip component was like the first component, literally,
I remember.
Was in the tools. So this has gotten some updates as well. So persistent tabs. And then we've got, I wonder if this was, I'm trying to think if this is a currently released thing or still on the roadmap or in the past. Header template. There we go. This was last release, I think. We added this in the previous release. So you can add icons and things to the tab strip as well. So you can template out the tabs at the top. So we're improving upon like one of the oldest components here. So that's nice. The persistent tab state. This is something to do with the way that Blazor renders things. So a lot of times when you're hiding and showing content in Blazor, you're actually like ripping out that item from the DOM. And I think we added a way in here to persist the state of those items, so we're not doing it in a destructive manner. So that's a nice added feature there as well. We've updated validation for our input components. I know we've been working on that for quite some time. It looks like we've added some new line types and dash types to our charts. There's just so many things to talk about here, Sam. Of course, Visual Studio compatibility, the plugins for Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. Those are, again, in both the Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code for both ASP.NET Core and Blazor. And that admin dashboard is in there as well. So if you wanted to get a quick start on an application, this is the place to go. Cool stuff, Sam.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's funny you say like the tab strip is like the oldest thing, and like Blazor itself is like what 3-4 years old. Yeah. I do remember that was the first control released.
Yeah, TabStrip and the DataGrid came very closely second, and then it was all just crazy from there. We've been adding components like mad. There's about 95 components now.
Yeah.
So we talked about those, and then of course we got to give AJAX a shout out. I mean, you gotta give props to the old timer of the bunch. Blazor's the baby here, but ASP.NET AJAX still very relevant, and we're still adding components to it. Somebody asked me about this at CodeMash a couple weeks ago. They were like, "Do you guys still
split button?
support web forms?" I was like, "Support? Heck, we're still adding components." And they're like, "What?" I was like, yeah, a lot of people still use this stuff. So we keep giving them new things to use. So we got a brand new split button for that. And of course, a bunch of updates.
We have the
as
same thing for WinUI and WPF as well. Same split button.
So drag and drop, Visual Studio support.
Oh, this thing is coming, the live preview thing.
Yeah, web live preview. I talked about this
Yes, I remember.
last year. And this is the updated like drag and drop designer experience. So you can open up a live, it's kind of like hot reload. So you get like a live web view, but you can edit your code in like the browser or the editor. So you can go right into the browser and just start like typing on the design surface, and you can open up the smart tags and everything right there in the web browser. So it used to be when you did the real-time design stuff in web forms, it did it in its own preview window, right? This actually does it in the browser, which is a much better environment than a custom panel that was kind of piggybacking off of like a internal IE build or something. So web live preview is very, very cool. And we're continuing to work with Microsoft on that feature to make sure we have 0-day release for it. And then we have Telerik reporting integration, document processing as well. And we keep on pushing forward with our web form stuff.
Yeah, no, the reporting angle is a whole other kind of beast to get into. There's so much nuances to modern day reporting, and whichever framework you're doing it from, be it web forms or MVC or Blazor, we want to help you out. So I think that stream is actually coming up on Friday. So we will talk about reporting, testing, Fiddler, and all those things on Friday. For all of the reporting stuff, just hold on, and we'll talk much more about that in detail.
See, I've got the fancy Code It Live theme on my Visual Studio Code. But if you want to grab the extensions for Visual Studio Code for any of your products, just jump into the extension manager over here and type in Telerik. You'll see I've got an update for this one. I need to install the ASP.NET Core.
Have you run the admin dashboard for Blazor? Can you run that real quick, or is your system set up?
Let me let this reload. There's an update for Visual Studio Code. I might need to install that for it to work properly. So let's do that real quick. These VS Code installs are fast, unlike its big brother
or sister.
Yeah. Visual Studio takes quite a while to install updates on. VS Code, not so much. It's pretty quick, as you just saw there. So what you want to do is, now that it's installed, I'm trying to remember there it is, Control-Shift-P.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the Telerik UI for Blazor wizard launch. And this is the tooling here. With the or with the Visual Studio installer or Visual Studio plugin extension, yes, you will get a little more integration, I think, with some of the file system and whatnot, because VS Code is an Electron shell app, so you can't auto detect if you have a paid or trial license. So we have a little switch in here for you to go between the two products. So if you're running a free trial, you switch over to the trial mode here, but you just give your project a name. Let's delete me, because we're gonna end up getting rid of it at some point. And then you pick a path here. Let's just throw this guy a disk somewhere.
I also like you can run it straight up on .NET 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was actually just playing with it last night, trying to see what's needed.
folder. I can't remember if I can create straight through that or not. And then you could choose WebAssembly or server. And I'm going to go with WebAssembly. That's my favorite. We can go with .NET 6. I'm going to have to ask the team why they have recommended on .NET 5 still. I think that was supposed
it's
to
just
get
too new.
there.
All the Net 6 stuff is very, very new. And then
I
some
think
of it,
this
honestly,
is leftover from beta,
could
though.
be.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, and honestly, like even with the VS 2022 on Windows or VS for Mac, which is completely in a preview, a lot of the .NET 6 stuff is just getting ready. It's not done yet.
But Blazor is 100% ready. So that's why I'm thinking we didn't get that updated yet. What's cool here is you can toggle different themes. So we've got the basic themes here, but you can see all the swatches as well. So you can jump in and do extra customization there, and then you hit Create Project. Go ahead and hit Create Project, and I need to create the folder. Let me make a new folder just in case. I don't want it to come up in my root folder. That would be bad. So let's do repo and then new.
I think it might make a folder inside of it, but I mean, it's always good
to be
safe.
But just to be safe, let's hit create. And that wasn't good. Maybe the update broke something. It said there was an error. Demo fail.
I got the same bits if you want me to switch, because I mean it is spitting out a Blazor project with all of our bits kind of built in, so it's nice and easy way to start.
Wonder, let's see here.
Well, it has to do with your runtime. I mean, do you have Net 6 installed and all the things?
I do. Let me folder. That one might have had a project.json file in it. Try a different path. Let's see if I still get that. Let's just drop it right here. I have to start naming these things delete me because I've got so many projects. We'll do the admin in a minute. That's a new one. So let's just double check here and say create. There it is. That one worked. So it could have been the folder I dropped it in. This is a basic sample app where we have, let's go into pages here. This one has some of the window components, and this is the basic screen here. So what's cool about this is in the file new project screen, I only picked the intro page pretty much. You can go in and add, or the grid, you can add different things. We have a dashboard, a form, and a chart, and you can kind of ad hoc just plop those into your project as many as you'd like. Let's try this one again.
Once you're done, I want to ask you a question once you open any of these projects.
Mm-hmm. Let's put it under a new folder again. Oh. Yeah, that didn't work for me.
Something about your VS update or the new.
Yeah, we may have to ship another update to be compatible with that version.
It's not them, it's you, because it works for me.
Oh, it's working for you? Well, you want me to toggle to your screen?
No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, we get it. But I mean, I do have, a couple more things to ask you. So go back into VS Code where you had dropped the grid project. Can you run this right off the bat? Like, do you need to do .NET run?
Yeah, I need to go over and do.
You also do .NET Watch, right?
Yeah, that works too. Let me go find where I plop that down. It's under there. Temp. It did create a folder there, by the way. Select folder. So yeah, this is the grid. I thought I chose grid. This doesn't look like a grid though. This just looks like the welcome page with the window.
Can you run it?
Yes. So if I go to terminal here.
Oh, you do actually use the VS Code terminal. I was having a conversation with somebody who hated that, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't use the terminal in VS Code either." But yeah, good to have it there.
I do have a. Why is it defaulting to preview? That's why that other thing's failing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got an SDK issue here.
Which, if you live on the bleeding edge, like my system is hosed up like at least a couple of times a week, because it's like which SDK, which runtime.
List dash list SDK. Come on.
No, it's yeah, no, that should be
What's SDK? Oh, SDKs plural.
SDKs.
So I've got a lot. I probably need to ditch one of these previews.
Or you can have it like force which one's picking.
Okay, so that is a new one actually. That's not an old .NET 6 preview.
2.0 is out. Yeah, they don't advertise this, and some of those things kind of sneak in with tools like MAUI check or like VS Code update here in this case. But 2.0 is out.
That's what's causing that error earlier, probably. Is I have this preview and it's trying to do some code generation and it's hitting an error on the framework.
Yeah. So back on the grid project, like the project that you're on, this one here, why does VS Code not show you your references? Is there a way to see it very clearly? Because like this is a Blazor project, right?
Yeah, I don't think I have. Let's see, language mode is updated. There's some plugins I'm missing here, I think. And I may have dismissed them. Let's try this again. Close this whole window and try to reopen it. It might prompt me. Let's see if it prompts me. I have a bad habit of dismissing those dialogues.
Oh, I do too. All the time.
There it is. Please review the output for details. And then I know this is probably part of it. So warning, 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 fail. Attempted to update a project that is not loaded. Okay. Did I open it at the wrong? I've got.
No, it just could be just the way VS Code, works. Because oftentimes I'm not able to see my dependencies, or I don't know if there's like a special extension that allows it to see it. It would be nice to see. But to Aztec Consulting's point, like there are so many previews flying around, especially if you are on the MAUI side of things. It is confusing. Which VS preview are you on? What SDK does it come with? And so on. Yeah, fun times.
Visual Studio preview. I don't think I have this updated latest version.
The latest is preview 3. It's a mouthful. Yeah. So get this. It's a VS 2022 17.1 preview 3. That's the latest.
Yeah, I don't have the latest.
It's asking you to get the latest. Yeah.
Now, I know we're getting off topic, but yeah, I'm not going to run that. I was going to see what the release notes said. I know this is getting off topic, but have you had any issues with the latest preview of Visual Studio? 2022?
No, not much, but okay. A lot of bits changing around it. So.
I don't know what the issue exactly is, but I've had a lot of delay in IntelliSense and stuff lately. So you'll have to wait quite a while for it to like autocomplete and come up with the property names and things like that. And I don't know if it's just me or what's happening there.
You folks have some rich boy first world problems because we don't have intelligence. When you're used to working with just command line or VS Preview for Mac, you don't have much intelligence at all. So you limp through as best as you can.
I don't know how compatible my version is with this, but we'll give it a try. We'll hit a Telerik new project here. And this is the dialog for Visual Studio. And you can see we have the admin here. We can select our framework as well. I've got Telerik UI for Blazor 3.0 installed. There's my admin template, WebAssembly, not server. And then we hit next, and here's our theming screen. So we're very much in parity here with the other tool that I showed you. They look a little bit different, but they're for different platforms. So it's going to have a little bit of nuance to it. And then we hit create, and which I'm finding kind of interesting because I know the generation tool behind the scenes should be using the same code base. In this one, since Visual Studio is going to hold my hand a little bit more than VS Code, you can see the error that I normally would have gotten in Visual Studio Code is giving me something different here. So it's telling me I'm missing a version of .NET which is not installed, which I don't know what version that would be. We'll go ahead and click install and see what it says.
Could be 101.
The .NET 5 runtime? Did I not pick .NET 6 off that menu?
Anyways, like this is not even like, our stuff, but
Yeah, I know. It's interesting growing pains here, though.
Yeah.
I could have swore I picked .NET 6, did I not? WebAssembly, .NET 6. Next. Maybe there is a little bit of a bug in there. Maybe it's targeting .NET 5 when it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I found something. I think that may actually be part of the problem there. So we'll have to chat with some folks and see if they can reproduce that. So
like right here in Visual Studio, you see your dependencies folder. It shows you all your bits that VS Code doesn't, and I don't like it all the time.
Okay.
Like, why are you hiding it? Just like it's there in my folder. Just show it to me. But no, it doesn't.
But is this isn't a real folder?
Could be something they make it up from the config, but
yeah, this is metadata.
It's all listed in your CS proj. There is no reason to not have.
So this is pulled from here.
Yeah,
this is our dependencies from here, and then the analyzers and frameworks and stuff also come from different places.
Yes.
So,
but it's all there in the project. So I mean, it's anyways my little gripe.
Yeah, things are just nicer here. Sorry. It looks like we need .NET 5 for this one. This admin panel to work. Maybe that was the recommended thing.
Yeah, maybe.
But you do get a nice admin style application that has some tile layouts, and then there's components that feed into those tile layouts. There's also an about page. Where's the thing I was looking for, though? There is a main layout, and it has a drawer component, and it has like the avatar, like for your logged in person and all of that. It gives you a nice starting point for that type of app. So very, very cool little project that you can spin up there with the extensions. And then let's see here as well. There's one that I like to use quite a bit is say I do a file new project. I choose the traditional Blazor WebAssembly app project from the standard .NET templates. Let's go ahead and spin that guy up. And I'm not having very good luck with demos today. I hope this doesn't go south on me again.
Done your morning rituals of praying.
Right. If I wanted to convert this to a Telerik application, I can come up to my extensions and say Telerik Blazor
Oh, this is
convert to Telerik
nice.
application. So what this is going to do is it's going to detect that this is just a standard Blazor template, and it's going to go through, and you could choose to do a backup with this. I'm going to choose not to because it's literally just file new project. I don't have anything I want to save, but if you had customized this already, you might want to do that backup.
Is this new? Next, like this convert?
Actually, no, it's not. It's been here for quite a bit.
Oh, interesting.
But not too many people know about it.
We do this for WinForms or WPF or other things as well.
Yeah. So if I hit next, it says your application's been converted to a Telerik Blazor application. If you go in and look now, that dependencies folder has been updated, and there's a Telerik UI for Blazor dependency in there. And then if you look under www root, there are the Telerik UI for Blazor JavaScript interops and the CSS files for Blazor as well. And then under shared, and this is a nice little trick we use, we have a Telerik layout that gets dropped in. And this is so we can wrap the entire application with a Telerik root component without disturbing your main layout file. So we just drop that in, and then the main layout uses that Telerik layout. So by the transitive property, it gets wrapped around all of that, right?
Okay. All right. Darling, hold on. I have questions. What is a layout in this case?
So layouts are they're similar to how they were handled in MVC, but they're doing it through components. So anywhere you have this body, that is where your app is going to be rendered. So if I have a page like the counter component, it gets rendered within that body tag, that body attribute right there.
So this is literally going into like index HTML, the head, body, whatever. And the body is the one that renders the app. But now you're saying like all of the components will go into the body, like in the DOM?
Yeah. So the index HTML loads this div tag.
Right.
Then your app.razor loads inside of that div tag.
The routing.
Yep. And then your layouts load inside of the app razor.
Oh, right. So the layout view layout, it's loading the type of main layout.
Right. So main layout is the default layout. So this gets open, and then when you navigate to a route, that component, which is going to be like counter.razor, gets loaded into the body.
I see.
Or fetch data, etc. So the layout doesn't change, just the inside content does. So this lets you kind of template away the shell of the application. So you can also inherit from other, or not inherit, but you can kind of nest layouts as well. So we use that layout nesting as a nice little trick to just wrap whatever's inside of here, so we don't actually go in and edit your code. But what it's doing is it's putting a Telerik.
Why do we need to wrap
component here?
Why do we need to wrap?
The Telerik root component is a service container. Oh. And what it does is it gives cascading parameters and values to components from the library that need certain property values and JavaScript interop access and things for the components to work correctly. So we have this Telerik root component, and it manages windows and provides metadata to the components and things like that. I do the same thing with some of my custom third-party components I build as well. So they'll have a root component that you need because it has some basic service infrastructure for the components to work.
Yeah, I didn't know how important these things were. I was just kind of fidgeting around.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So when you do that conversion, it adds that as a layout, and then your main layout gets that as its parent. So we don't touch your actual layout, leave it alone, but you still get the Telerik components there. And then once you click that conversion tool and finish it, you can just come into any page here. Fetch data is probably better. So you could like go, I don't need all this anymore. I have a Telerik grid on it, and it has data property of forecasts.
Nice. Look at the IntelliSense right there while you were typing Telerik Grid.
Yeah, working today. And then I could say auto generate columns is true. That. And then I could run that.
Look at you.
And
you are spoiled. You are spoiled.
Yeah, just that easy. I have a DataGrid that replaced that clunky, HTML that was there. And then you could come back to this and just say, well, now that I have a Telerik grid, actually, I don't even need that closing tag. I'll just self-close it. And Visual Studio didn't like when I did that for some reason. But
I also have questions about this because, well, and maybe I'll ask Alyssa today because I'm like completely blind in the web world. I don't know what I'm doing. Apparently, some components they cannot have self-closing tags. I have never known about this, but Angular and React tend to complain sometimes.
I don't know about Angular and React and how they handle self-closing tags. With Blazor, it's optional if the tag has, or if the component has child content. So a grid can have child content, but when I have auto-generate columns set to true,
so
it doesn't have to.
Okay, so if you don't have child components, you can you can close inline.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe
so
I was
can self-close that one.
Yeah. Okay.
There are components though that just by their nature have to have child content, or they don't physically have any use. So it will yell at you if you don't supply that. And then I've totally broke Visual Studio. It keeps yelling that it's broken. But I tend to take away the closing tags if there's nothing inside them.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Easier to read.
Yeah. So there are also HTML tags that work the same way, Sam. So there's like the image tag doesn't have child content.
No, it's always self-closing.
It's a self-closing tag. Yeah. So you won't see that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think I was playing around with some Kendo tags that it was barking at me to like not self-close because it expected things, although it didn't actually have children. Maybe.
When you get into Angular and React, you have to remember that those things are using a different templating engine as well.
Yeah.
So they may need start and end tags just to make the compiler happy. In Razor, we don't even close our Razor tags. We just do @ but in something like Angular and React, you're going to have, like double curlies or whatever template thing that they're using, or NG4 and all that type of stuff. So that could have some bearing on it. I'm not sure yet. Again, ask Alyssa, see what she says.
I will. She doesn't know. Like, she's inviting me to, show some fun stuff, but I'm just going to use the time to ask questions. And our good friend Eve is here in the chat room. Hey, Eve.
Eve.
Eve is going to talk about all things Fiddler and networking and HTTP2. And do you know you can now look into WebSockets traffic? That's so exciting. So that's coming up this Friday. Yeah.
I tell you what, Fiddler saved my bacon this week. Turns out, Sam, I'm really bad at Entity Framework. And I was writing something that kept getting an error that was being swallowed. And it gets swallowed by the JSON parser. So, you hit an endpoint. If that endpoint fails and spits out an error message, and you have code that's trying to turn that into, serialize that error message when it's not, meant for that. It's expecting back foo, and it gets an error, bunch of markup. You'll get a JSON serialization that says something like could not serialize, and then you get an opening brace, because what it's getting back is an error page that literally is like this part right here. So it'll say like doc type something something, and then some error is in here. It tries to serialize that as, a person, and it's like, nah, that's not a person. It started with a caret. So it's,
Yeah.
So that's the error message you end up with. But if you go into Fiddler and look, Fiddler's like, okay, it's a network 500 error with this message. And you're like, crap. Okay.
Yeah, so definitely. If you're working with APIs, or if you just want to see what's going on when you make a service call, look under the covers. Nothing escapes Fiddler because it's a network proxy.
Yeah,
it's also embarrassing when you open up Fiddler and you see all your software making call home calls to Microsoft, to Apple, to Google, to us. Everybody does it. So it's the thing that shows you all the things. Inception. We don't need Inception.
Yeah, folks in chat, let me know if you're picking up any background noise from my mic.
I am picking up a little bit. Okay. What else do you got to show? Because I can ask you some questions on something I'm doing, or maybe not.
I'm gonna give you the floor for a moment, Sam, and I'm gonna fix this sound issue. Be right back.
All right. Are you leaving me alone? I don't want to be alone. I get lonely. I'm getting old. All right. Hold on. Let me see if I can new up a new window so I can share screen, maybe. All right, share screen, that other monitor. Right, there you go. I think that's good. Oh, hi, Sam. Hi, Speedo Girl. It is back. Thanks for not letting me be lonely for too long. You're not alone.
Yeah.
All right, now let me show you why you are spoiled. Because you expect everything to be built in. You expect IntelliSense to work, which doesn't work where we are at. All right, so you may have heard about this little thing that I'm excited about. It's called .NET MAUI. It is the evolution of cross-platform .NET Dev. It used to be Xamarin Forms, and it used to be only for iOS or Android primarily. But you could run it on other things. In the past, it just never gave you a lot of confidence. So now this is meant to give you confidence to reach Mac and to reach Windows, desktop-wise. So it is still .NET, C# and XAML, but you get some choices like this. Top stack here, it doesn't need to be XAML, like folks like Ed who hate XAML. You don't need to write XAML. You can actually just write C# if you want. If you want to write web stuff, you can write web stuff. This stuff, Lisa was talking about web views. This is the norm. Everybody is using a web view, and it's nice and lightweight. It lets you kind of render web content wherever you want. So Blazor is actually very welcome on, for .NET mobile and desktop apps, as is some of the other JavaScript stuff. So this thing has been kind of chugging along. Right now we are at preview 12. We're going to see a few more previews before things start hitting RC, which is release candidate, and then we'll see production sometime Q1 or Q2 of this year. So one of the things that I like is, seeing Blazor. I think Aztec was talking about this, like Blazor on MAUI and just the interop. And one of the questions we have is, like, if you have been developing Blazor apps, right, with all the excitement, you may have like custom components that you have built for yourself, or you're using some of our stuff, right? So if we say Blazor is welcome on MAUI or mobile or desktop, what does it mean? Like, can your components also come along for the ride? And for the most part, the answer is yes, but just understand these are very early days. So some things are not quite in place. So let me show you what this does. I'm going to switch here to my beautiful VM that keeps me warm in wintertime. And I'm going to launch VS Preview 2022. And this
my
is
lights just dimmed.
This is 2022 preview 3 here, by the way. So let me open up a solution. I was just playing with it this morning, so I'm not sure if it'll still work. But I was trying to see if I can do some honors to add. So the thing is, like, first is, does all of Blazor work on MAUI, and then do custom components on Blazor work on MAUI? And when this was first, sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I was agreeing with you.
So when this was first launched, I had given it a shot, and I hadn't actually played with this stuff in a long time. So some things have changed. So I wanted to go back and redo. So this is a straight up MAUI Blazor project. So how I'm coming to this is, if I do a new project, and if I do a search here, it's going to spin for a bit to come up. I mean, if I do a search for MAUI, it's actually showing you right here, because I don't have a lot of templates here. If you are not seeing these things like .NET MAUI app, and then .NET MAUI class library, and then there is the .NET MAUI Blazor app that should be somewhere. Hold on, because it's not finding it. Let me search for MAUI. You see these three? Those are the 3 core templates you need. I mean, there are some other templates that you can have access to if you do command line. But if you're not seeing this, it means you don't have all the bits, right? So go get .NET 6, go get .NET MAUI. It's a checkbox when you enable the mobile workloads thing. Then you get these templates for free. So essentially, I chose this, which is the MAUI Blazor app. This is for folks like Ed, who want to maybe reach native land, but they don't want to give up on Blazor, and they don't want to touch XAML. So that's okay. You can start with that. So that's what I did, right? When I do that, you get a project like this. And the one thing I have done here is, in my dependencies, and for some reason, it's not showing me all of my dependencies here, which is weird. Maybe those are packages. Hold on, let me look at the Windows side. Packages, yeah, okay. So I don't know if you can see. I'm going to zoom in here. But right in here, you can see in my, because this is all platform specific stuff, right? So for Windows, I have the Telerik UI for Blazor, and I'll have the same thing for, for iOS or for Mac as well. This is taking Blazor and just wrapping it inside and putting it on native apps, right? So that's what we are doing. So I went and looked through docs here, right? So trying to figure out, because I'm not as comfortable in Blazor land as everybody else is. So I went and looked here, okay? So there are multiple ways in which you can obviously start building for Blazor. You have some Visual Studio or VS Code integration, which is what I like, because I'm on command line. I do VS Code, but you can just get the bits however you want, like our stuff through NuGet packages, through the templates, or just like a straight up download. You have the DLLs. And then I started looking into, like, how do I get started, right? So let's look at maybe this, configuring this stuff. This is the stuff that Ed talked about, the new wizards. But looking at the VS Code integration here. Starting up the new wizard. So this is the new Telerik extension. If you're not new, but it's been around, if you want to use that, that's the template that Ed showed with .NET 6 or 5, whichever one you want to choose. Installations. Is there a getting started guide on the Blazor thing? I'm trying to see.
Getting started for,
or maybe an
what?
Introduction. Just starting up a Blazor project. I thought I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, there's right on your screen. There's getting started with client or server side Blazor.
Okay, let's look at server side. So you start up a Blazor project. Yeah, this is what I was looking at. So you start a Blazor project, and you bring in the Telerik bits, right, through NuGet packages. And then this is the stuff that I was confused with, because I didn't know all of the moving pieces. So this, in my index HTML or layout HTML, like this thing is literally the inner op, right? And if I don't need to talk to JavaScript, do I need this or no?
The components need to talk to JavaScript. So yes,
need to talk to JavaScript. Okay, so that is a needed thing.
Then we do things that are not supported by Blazor natively.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Then this is all CSS, right? So we need this for any type of styling. And looks like in your startup, we are also hooking up this as an extension method. Do you know what that does?
Yep, that adds the services that the components need to communicate with different parts of the framework.
Okay. And then imports brings in some namespaces. And this is the layout thing that completely confused me because I did not know what I was doing, but I understand a little bit more now. Can't say I understand the whole thing, but I understand. So we are wrapping it and we're just sticking that layout on top of our main layout. And then we are free to add Telerik stuff, right? So I was not able to do all of this on a MAUI project, but I was able to do some. So here's my index HTML, because this is sitting on www.root. And as you know, like the MAUI projects, it starts out with like MAUI program, which is kind of how the app starts up. It's using the same .NET generic, the host builder pattern, and we register all of your services right there. It's nice for DI. And right there, I was able to do the add Telerik Blazor thing, right? Then this is essentially telling it to do is like MAUI starts up and it is a native app. So you have all of the native APIs and things that you need. But then if you look into main page.xaml, this is the only XAML you need to see because I understand you're coming from the web world. This is just a content page. This is the wrapper that holds each individual page of a mobile app or a desktop app, right? And you get to navigate between these things, and you can actually mix and match native with Blazor stuff or web stuff. But in this case, we are just wanting to do straight up Blazor. So you get a Blazor web view. This is the web view that is smart enough to know which platform that I'm running on. Am I on iOS or am I on Android or Windows or Mac? And it gives you the corresponding web view for that platform. And it's just a web view. It's a thin web view that knows how to render web stuff. And this is essentially pointing to the main Razor file, which is the first, starting point of your Blazor application. Same kind of config. That's the routing coming in. So I have all of this in place. And the only thing I thought I would add is in my index HTML, I got the style sheet, right? So the Kendo theme style sheet and the Telerik Blazor. So I think that's all I need. And I have the imports thing in here. And then I can start writing Blazor stuff. So this is obviously a Blazor page, but right here I can do like a Telerik button. I can do a barcode and stuff like that. So with that, if I come back in here, and keep in mind, I'm running Blazor Telerik UI for Blazor 3.0. I think that's the latest package, right?
Yeah.
So
3.0 is the R1 release.
I'm running the R1 2022 release. So I am on Windows here, and I can run this on iOS. I can run this on Android. I cannot run this on a Mac because I'm on Windows, but it's trying. And out comes a little desktop application. Look at that. If you've done any Blazor, this obviously feels familiar because like I have taken out every native element in this. This entire app is just one giant web view. So your counter and all of that other stuff obviously works the way you envision because it's all, this is server-side Blazor, but it's all right there for you. The weather forecasting services in there. But right here, that's a Telerik button. Kind of looks a little bland because it doesn't have any styling. Maybe, Ed, you can tell me like how I can maybe very quickly make that a nicer rounded Telerik button. But that's a barcode, and that's not all. I mean, I can bring in literally anything under the sun because the web view, this guy does not care. It is just a web view. It knows how to render web stuff. And I don't know if we have talked about this a whole lot, but we have been obviously tinkering with the possibilities of what Blazor might mean on other native platforms. So one of our engineers, Stamo, has a GitHub repo. Let me see which one is it. And this is public, so you folks are kind of free to kind of go around and tinker with this. So I showed you just the barcode, but here you have a Telerik Blazor DataGrid. You have charts. All of this is running inside of a .NET MAUI app, right? So if you have the option of starting up a greenfield app that you want to run on iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac, and you want to see Blazor components, it's right there. Or if you, which is more of the reality for a lot of enterprises where you have to think about ROI, you can't just like drop an app and just restart it from scratch. Let's say you have a WinForms application or a WPF application. You don't have to do MAUI. If you don't need all the platform integrations and all the native APIs, then you don't need MAUI. The Blazor web view is just something you can stick in to any desktop app, and it will render web content. So here is all of our Blazor stuff with the grid and the charts inside of a WinForms application. Here is our stuff inside of a WPF app. So I'm just glad to see that, folks like you, Ed, who are kind of all in on Blazor and web stuff, you're also welcome in the native world. You can do this right now.
So I've been tinkering with the MAUI stuff as well.
Yeah, by tinkering you mean going through the pain over and over again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question here if I can get this sample project I've got running.
So what were you going to ask about, like SDKs or anything?
Yeah, because I had it working and it ran fine on Android and then on Windows, and then the latest version of Visual Studio shipped, and then I went back and ran the same project, and all of a sudden I can't run on Android anymore.
Okay, I have a piece of advice for you.
Don't.
You have to, yeah, well, and also you have to update your demos every 3 weeks, because they'll just stop working. Every preview has new SDKs, new things that they're shipping with. There are some breaking changes, particularly on iOS, that breaks left and right. So stuff that I had working like 3 weeks back or 2 weeks back, that they don't work anymore because the runtimes have all changed.
So the error I get, Sam, is Microsoft Graphics Canvas cannot be referencing Windows metadata component directly. Targeting .NET 5 or higher is not supported.
Oh, and this is on what? This is on Windows? This is on Android?
It's Android.
Oh, we have to go look into your SDKs and your Android stuff to figure out maybe what's going on. So let me show you what you might need if you've had a clean machine to kind of get started on. So if I do a .NET, hold on, list of SDKs. So you think you have a few, I have a few too. So you see that I started with like 3.0, but this is .NET 6 1.0.100. That's the production ready .NET 6 version. 101 is out, and if I run a tool called MAUI check, it's actually going to pull down 6.0.200. That's the latest .NET 6 version.
Which is what I have.
Sometimes you have to just wait a week for the MAUI updates to catch up. Yes, and there are multiple ways to get the updates, so which makes things like very complicated, unnecessarily complicated. So the thing is, if I do a .NET, everything is a workload, right? What is it called?
I didn't mean to take your screen. There we go.
Oh, you took my screen for a second? Oh,
yeah, by accident.
No worries. All right, you see that? Right now it's saying these are the workloads I have, right? So a workload, .NET workload, is essentially the same thing that you get when you do a Visual Studio install and you check those workloads. I don't have all the things, like I don't have Azure, I don't have Blazor and other things. I have all the MAUI stuff. And it's saying, hey, there are some updates available. If I get those updates, it's going to move me to MAUI 13 is actually almost in preview. So you can keep getting those updates, but then if you fall back to some of the other tools, you can fall back to the other older updates. So you need to make sure these updates are absolutely on point, and you need to make sure you have your Android and iOS SDKs lined up. Now, theoretically, you should get those things, by default, but things go out of sync.
So what's interesting is if you read the docs for Visual Studio.
Oh, okay.
And MAUI, it says that if you're going to do MAUI, don't use the workload installer or MAUI check.
Wait, who's saying that? You have to use one of those two.
The official docs tell you to just run the installer from Visual Studio and it should work.
Okay.
It says do not use the workload install and we'll break it.
I get it. So
I have a feeling that you are correct and the docs are not.
The thing is, this has been a point of contention, right? So if you look at the MAUI docs, it is obviously in the works, right? So they change and they push out new bits. One of the big things that me and a lot of folks have been complaining is when you look at the MAUI docs, it looks like MAUI only works on Visual Studio. Like you need Visual Studio 2022 and Windows to make any of this work. Like that's the installation guide. But the reality is you can do all of this in command line, and they had it before in the docs, and then they took it away, and everybody has been complaining. So if you go through this, it doesn't say which preview it is. Preview 3 is what you need. And if you choose mobile dev, and it actually doesn't show you the next thing that comes up, like .NET MAUI is a checkbox. You need to have that checked for it to grab the iOS and Android and Mac Catalyst SDKs. And technically, that should be it. That all you need, but things will fall out of favor quickly if you, for example, if you updated the MAUI templates and the tooling, but you didn't update the workload, then the workloads are old. So you have to do a .NET workload update to get the latest bits again.
Yeah, that's probably what I need to try. Here, I'm going to switch to my screen for a second, Sam.
Go for it.
I've got a project very similar to the one that you just showed, except I started with a Blazor WebAssembly application first. So you see, I have many more projects, and this is something that is very cool.
Back up a second. Say that line one more time. What did you start with?
I started with a Blazor WebAssembly application.
And this is in MAUI, or no?
Yep. So it's also MAUI. So if we
doesn't
look,
work in MAUI. There's no WebAssembly in MAUI.
Hang on.
Because you have to go Blazor.
Hang in there with me. Hang in there with me.
All right.
So if I go to my server app and I do set a startup project and hit Control F5, there's my Blazor WebAssembly application. Nice.
Yeah.
That's the usual thing here. So we'll minimize that one. And then
we didn't see your browser because it was on the other screen. But we trust it. Yeah, we trust
sharing the right window.
Yeah.
Hang on.
No, we saw Visual Studio.
Make sure. Share screen. It might have shared the app, not the screen. There's the Hall of Mirrors that we all know and love. All right. So this one, we'll just run this for kicks. Can we see it now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I did this on Layla's show, by the way. So you'll see Layla codes it there. That's the template, the counter component and weather forecast template. So that's all good. So this has several projects in it. This is the client WebAssembly app. This is the web API server and the shared. This is the hosted model and project. Started with that. Okay. Then I added the MAUI project. So here's the MAUI. Here's the MAUI project. So now I've got a MAUI project. The MAUI project has a dependency on this guy here. So if I look,
this is making me cringe because I can already see
manage project references. I have a reference to the client project,
which is in WebAssembly,
right? So
the client project is all WebAssembly, right?
Right. I don't have any pages folders in here anymore. Notice that. So no pages, no shared, no components. They're all gone. If I look under here, I do have a HTML file.
Sure.
This one's called myapp.html, not index.html. There's a reason for that. So I do have that. And this loads up Blazor WebView. If I'm loading my client application, it has an index.html, and it loads up WebAssembly. Okay. So other than that, this MAUI application, it will inherit all of the other WW root content, the CSS files, everything.
Sure. That's all static. That doesn't matter.
Yep. So I don't need to reference that. I don't need to reference any of the components. Just that project reference alone was enough. Now, underneath of main page.xaml, is it? There we go.
And you may want to bump up your fonts a little bit.
Yeah. Zoom in on that guy. I've got myapp.html, just like you explained earlier. That's going to bootstrap my Blazor stuff, but my router's slightly different here. So my router says, go load these additional routes from the client application, because there's no routes inside of my MAUI app. They're all in the client app. So they're just in a different assembly. So is my main layout, etc. So that makes things nice and handy, because now I've got all of my UI bits in this client app that I can load from Blazor WebAssembly or from MAUI. So if let's see here, I need to run my server just to get the APIs going. So if I go in here and say,
so while you're showing this, like, is this something that's working, or it's not working?
This works.
Okay, this works. All right.
This works if it's not running already.
Remember, you didn't pray to the demo gods today.
I didn't. Oh, there it goes. It was trying to copy files to something that was already in process. So the server's running, but I can also come in and set this as my startup project now. And I can go to my Windows machine and run this on Windows.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got this on Windows, and it's running natively on Windows. It's not running any HTML. No HTML is being served from the server. It's just web API stuff, just so we can go to this page and see our weather forecast.
Yep.
But if I go, sorry for the Hall of Mirrors again, local host. I've got the wrong IP address. Where did that guy go? I was running it in the... Where did my terminal window go? I opened a terminal. Where did you go?
That's why I use a different
When
terminal.
I hit run it again, it opened a new one.
That is the reason.
I just wanted to know the IP address. I can get the IP address from...
Yeah, it's in your config. Yeah.
It's also here. 7014. That was one of the little nuances that I had to tell it where the API lives. There we go. So these are the same app. One's running in WebAssembly, one's running natively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice demo.
Right there. Yeah. So this is the cool part. If I come in into this page here in the code, and that is in my client, if I'm under pages, index, I can change this to... Oh, if I save that one,
it saves
it's not going to hot reload. I haven't quite got hot reload to jive with this yet. But if I restart these apps,
no, it's the same components being rendered.
Same component, so it will update both of the apps.
Yeah.
So that
this is nice. This is nice.
Really nice to have. And there's my power. There it goes. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just watching time here. We are past the hour, but let's kind of maybe do a quick recap. So Telerik R1 2022 bits are out. If you are doing anything, it is Voodoo Magic Aztec. And airdrop, beautiful, and left me alone. Which you can kind of see the lighting kind of shine through if my face is that big, which is why I don't like my face that big. Can we rate my friends? Mike, where is Mike? You actually gave us an address. Yeah, we can rate Mike.
Browser tab and close completely out.
Oh, trust me, how many times I do that. So, folks, if you're doing any type of web UI, take a look at what our engineering teams are trying to put out. Just everything we can give you out of the box to be more successful with ASP.NET AJAX, ASP.NET MVC, or Razor Pages, or obviously all things Blazor. That's it. And I have to go and grab some lunch so I can come join Alyssa in an hour.
I've got one more quick announcement to make here too, Sam. Okay. I'm trying to find the details on this real quick.
Yeah.
It is coming up shortly.
Give me 1 second. Eva, just hold off on the rate for 1 second. Let Ed finish.
So on February 4th,
Yeah.
we are going to, or I'm going to be joining Jeff Fritz on Code It Live, and we're going to talk about some of the new Blazor components and how we might be able to use those in KlipTok.
Cool.
So it looks like our tentative time is going to be 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're still scheduling this, but it looks like it'll be February 4th. So next Friday, potentially. We're going to be having a show with Jeff Fritz doing some KlipTok and some Telerik Blazor components with KlipTok. So that should be
cool.
A fun show.
Yeah,
stay tuned for that.
Next week. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start the raid here, folks. And, Aztec Consulting and everybody else, thanks for hanging out with us. We just wanted to take a little bit of slower look at some of the stuff that we built in. We'll cover more of these things next week. But thanks for joining us, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Go have dinner, go have lunch if that time is right for you. And come back and join us here at Code It Live in an hour with Alyssa.
And Sam. Sam's pulling double duty today.
Oh, it's fun. Fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks.
Take care,
Looks
friends.
like we're ready to start it. Take care. Yep. Bye-bye.